Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing New.
Welcome back to another edition of the IBFP's Unbiased News. We're going to tell you the truth when no one else will. Let's just break it down. According to Mike Coppinger, DAZN is holding December 19th as a fight date for Canelo Alvarez per sources, but time is running out. And this was an interview that he did with Max Kellerman on Max Unboxing. And look, let's just be honest about the situation. DAZN and Canelo Alvarez are still in mediation currently. There is some hope a deal will be reached because you see Canelo Alvarez desperately wants to fight and DAZN desperately needs him, as all their multi-million-dollar fighters are currently appear to be cherry-picking and in cherry-pick fights. You have Demetrius Andrade facing an Uber driver. You have, Devin Haney facing a tomato can. You have Danny Jacobs facing a Lyft driver. And you have Triple G facing a grocery store clerk. And Triple G didn't have to face this guy. He chose to face this mandatory. So you see, all of these guys are multi-million-dollar assets on DAZN, and yet none of these guys, none of them are facing top-tier competition or even intriguing or competitive fights. All of these fights are garbage. All of these fights are trash. Danny Jacobs, Triple G, Devin Haney, Demetrius Andrade, and yet it's okay. Also according to Mike Coppinger, if Canelo Alvarez does fight in December, he will face undefeated world champion Callum Smith. So, it's not the fact that Canelo Alvarez just gets paid more than these guys, but it's the fact that he's earned a higher payday because he's facing better competition again and again and again. You remember, DAZN started haggling with Canelo since he refused to cherry pick. Canelo Alvarez didn't want to face a 47, 48-year-old Oscar De La Hoya who's been retired for years. He didn't want to face that guy. He didn't want to face a bunch of UFC guys who's never boxed. He's not Floyd. He wants to face competitive fights. He wants to take risks. He wants to win world titles. He wants to do something special and be great in a sport of boxing, not be known as a consummate cherry picker. This is what we're seeing, and I'm going to tell you the truth if no one else will. Billy Joe Saunders, let's get to this guy. He got a brand new cherry pick right off the lot. And who's that cherry pick? Martin Murray. And look, let me explain to you about Martin Murray if you don't know him. This guy is 38 years old. He has over 5 losses. He's already been knocked out, and he's never been a world champion. He's not knocking out Billy Joe Saunders because he has a 37% knockout ratio. So we already know he's not going to outbox Billy, and he can't knock him out. What's the point in this fight? This fight is not going to be competitive. It's not going to be interesting. It's garbage truck juice. At the end of the day, we know what it is. The guy is over the hill. The guy is domestic level fighter. The fight shouldn't be taking place. And here's the worst thing about this fight. This guy is promoted by Eddie Hearn. The same as Demetrius Andrade. The same as Devin Haney. The same as, Danny Jacobs. All of these guys are facing trash opponents, Triple G as well, and yet they're all promoted by Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn is saving all of his fighters and not having these guys fight in any significant fights, but facing each other in showcase fights, tune-up fights, cherry pick fights. And DAZN is not having a problem with this. You got to keep the same energy across the board with everybody. And these guys are facing low-tier competition, waiting on paydays, waiting on big fights, instead of stepping up to the plate and improving their fighter's resume. Eddie Hearn is pulling the wool over the public's eyes. And here's the problem with this. All of these guys are cherry picking, and DAZN is okay with it. This makes DAZN garbage truck juice. Anybody defending DAZN is so stupid they need to slap themselves and wake up. Any boxing channel that's blaming Canelo instead of DAZN is delusional. No one should allow this many cherry picks on one platform. You see Top Rank trying to make better fights, and they're not on pay-per-view. Even PBC is making better fights, even though they're all on pay-per-view. We got to be real, but DAZN is making nothing. They're making trash and cherry picks. We see what's going on. I'm going to tell you the truth, whether you want to hear it or not. And then we get to Leo Santa Cruz and Gervonta Stank Davis. And let me explain to you why I call this guy Gervonta Stank Davis. Because the smell of his cherry pick stinks. And a lot of people don't seem to realize that this is an abundant cherry pick. Leo Santa Cruz is a natural 126-pound fighter who's moving up in weight. He only fought one tomato can at the weight, and Tank Davis is moving down. He's looking to bully a smaller, weaker man with no defense and no power. That's what he's looking to do. The only intrigue in the fight is people saying, saying, well, Leo Santa Cruz's work rate and Tank get tired. Let me explain to you something like that. Tank won't have a chance to get tired because Leo Santa Cruz has no defense and has no power. How is he going to keep Tank off of him? It doesn't make any sense. This is a cherry pick, picking a smaller guy up in weight, and Tank Davis, at the end of the day, he's a bigger, stronger guy. It doesn't make sense. Leo Santa Cruz says, I've been sparring with bigger guys. Hopefully I could tank power and punches. So, you're hoping that you can take Tank's power punches. You're hoping? You're hopeful? You're hopeful? This is boxing. You don't need to be hopeful. You need to be prepared. You need to be ready. You need to have a game plan. But you know what? He doesn't have power. He's coming in with all the disadvantages. He has no defense. He's the smaller man. He's moving up in weight. All of these things works against Leo Santa Cruz. This is a cherry pick. And at the end of the day, he's low-key just admitted it. This fight is garbage truck juice, and anybody too stupid needs to slap themselves. But once again, unbiased as always, it's the IBFP.